Hey, welcome to the Charlotte Chatcast. I'm Roger Holloway, ProStead Realty, and you are?
I am Michael Curtis.
I think I remember you as, aren't you like Clark Kent Curtis?
I'm channeling my inner superhero as we speak right now.
Whatever.
Yes,
he's with Movement Bank, and his MLS number is 129-6208. Well, welcome to our initial Charlotte Chatcast, Michael. Let's talk about mortgages. And the title of this podcast is Stop Doing That Mortgage Thing. Do this instead. First of all, what does CTC stand for?
Nice. Yeah, I figured we should probably give some of that information out too. Yeah, CTC, this is one of my favorite shirts. It stands for Clear to Close. And that's a very important statement in real estate because it's something I'm able to share with people and let them know, like, hey, we're clear to close. We're done with the loan process and you're buying a house.
Well, we're going to kind of do A to Z. So our first topic today is preparing for a home loan and when to do a pre-approval. What's your take?
Yeah, so I get this question a lot of times from realtors. So what they'll say is, look, I have somebody, they're interested, but they don't know if they're ready to talk to a lender yet. Yeah. And my first thought is, as a lender, my job is to be an advisor. And so I should talk to them as soon as possible. And when they're talking to a realtor, I need to speak with them because then I can start understanding their timeline, of course, any important questions they have as well. And then we can start getting those financial vital signs for them as well. So if there's anything we need to work on or towards as far as selling a house or if it's working on credit, understanding their income situation, we can do that together.
I mean, do you like understanding their credit? Do you help people that have challenged credit?
So the way I explain it is that when you talk to me, you're giving me a really in-depth look at your financial picture from credit, from income, from assets. And so I find it's a responsibility on my side that if you're going to give me all this information, the least I can do is if I'm seeing something and I have these tools at my disposal, I'm going to be able to advise you and say, hey, look, your score is in the fair range. We can do X, Y, and Z based upon your unique situation to boost that score up above a 700 and get into the good range. And so those are things that I try to identify just to have a little bit more critical thinking behind what we're doing here.
So you're saying fair, is that up to, what's the range for fair credit?
Yeah, so fair would be anywhere in the 600s. Now, of course, some people will have like a hard, fast number, but there's no reason to remember that. I just tell folks, if you're in the 600s, that's considered fair, and that can work for some loan programs. But again, anything to give us the strongest possible financial situation based upon the buyer's timeline too. Because if it's next week they got to buy a house, it's different. We got to start moving now. But if we have 6 months, well, at the very least, let's start having those conversations just to really prepare the financial picture, the credit to be in the best position possible based upon that timeline.
Well, as a real estate agent, we typically say, hey, are you, have you talked to a lender yet, or are you paying cash? And if they're not paying cash, then they need to talk to a lender. And really, I know I call you Michael Clark Kent Superman, right? Because you clear to close pretty doggone fast. But isn't it true that they need to kind of be real honest with you, like they talk to their doctor and tell them the truth?
Yes, that's why I call it getting the financial vital signs. So I'm here to advocate for them. A lot of people come into it thinking they need to hide something. Well, if you've been sucking wind for any amount of time on this earth, you've made a mistake. And that's okay. I have, Roger has. And so my job is to understand your financial picture, any collections, any bumps in the road, any foreclosures, bankruptcies, those things. The more I know, the more I can help advise and recommend and advocate for you as we get closer and closer to buying a house.
Okay, guys. Hey, by the way, if you're just tuning in, this is the Charlotte Chatcast. I'm Roger Holloway. I'm a real estate broker. I'm with Michael Curtis from Movement Bank. And we're just kind of talking about stop doing that mortgage thing, but do this instead. And getting that pre-approval up front and early on is a great idea. I like what Maya Angelou said, and I'm paraphrasing Michael. She said, if you know better, you do better. And so I'm sure that's the same thing. So on the consumer end, what do they need to do? I know there are probably people that don't want to call you, and we'll give your number out at the end of the podcast because, hey, I don't have this, I don't have that, I don't know this, I'm embarrassed. Should they be?
I mean, it's like talking to your doctor, like you mentioned. So I'm not here to pass judgment. A lot of people think that I'm not ready to talk to a lender because they're going to tell me no. They're going to tell me no. So I can't talk to a lender. I got to fix myself now before I talk to a lender. And really it's opposite. They need to speak to a lender now and then be able to understand their financial picture as it pertains from a mortgage standpoint, right? So through the lens of a mortgage, if you're trying to buy a house, well, we need to understand it from that perspective. And that's what a mortgage advisor, a mortgage lender is for, is to help explain those. Now, if you don't feel comfortable with your lender, well, that means you need to speak to another one that will be an advisor, that does have the heart of a teacher, that's going to educate you and walk you through what to expect.
Sweet. Love it, man. Well, hey, next on the Charlotte Chatcast, we're going to be talking about what's the difference between an on-market and an off-market loan program. So stick around for that one.